world heavyweight float. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure foe. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he 3-peated folk. You came prepared, now get ready for the show. Yo, 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 what up, friends? Yes, indeed, Ball and Buds back at it again. I am your host, Omar, the Sports Professor Fonseca. And as always, on my NBA shows, riding with me, my brother from the Audible Sports Podcast, Bobby G. What's good, brother?
What's happening, man? And once again, I have to live up to the legend that is. So, now appreciate the invite as always, man. Anytime you need me, I'm here.
I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief.
Call him
That's right.
The tribal chief of podcasting. Tell them where they can find you, my brother.
Hey, right there. If you want to get at me on X, not that X, this X, at Audible_Bobby G across all social media. That's IGN and X, aka Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And of course on YouTube, at GameTime_Bobby G. That's Game Time 216, Cleveland Sports Show with me and the homie Big Mike from the Man Cave. And of course, the Audible Sports Podcast with the homie Wildcard Mar, who we'll see later. When we're talking a little bit of wrestling, and that's Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So
I appreciate the amazing segue you just did there for me. We are having our wrestling show right after this one. Yes, we had a doubleheader last night. You had me for 4 hours. You get me on another doubleheader tonight. We will do our WrestleMania preview with AP, with Wildcard Mar, with Shane Peach, with Hot Take Jake, and with Bobby G and myself at 9 p.m. Eastern. So look for that right after this show. And without a further ado, though, we do have a new addition to the NBA Roundtable, and from 19 Media Group, he represents the Mid Post Podcast. Yes, he be banking in those floaters like Dirk Nowitzki. He be hitting them with the dream shake like Hakeem Olajuwon, and he's everywhere in the Mid Post. My brother Desmond Powell. Hold on, there we go. What's good, brother?
Oh man, I love that intro, man. I gotta say that's up there, man. I'm so appreciative to join the show with both of you, Bobby G, Omar. I'm excited. This is the most exciting time of the year for NBA fans, so I'm excited to get all into it, man. This is what we do. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. No, you're completely right. Super exciting time of year, basketball starting us off. It is a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining us. You'll be back on in the future, but for now, please let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, a little bit of everywhere. I'm on the 19 Media Group podcast networks. You can find all things with my podcast, The Mid Post, on the 19 Media Group YouTube channel. Search up 19 Media Group. You will find all the playlists there and find the Mid Post. You can follow the social medias at Mid Post Pod on all platforms, at Desmond Powell _ for the personal side of things, and that's also where my what my TikTok handle is as well, where I can post all my announcements and clips from the pod and the show and whatnot. So a little bit of everywhere, man. YouTube, socials, you can find me.
Boom! I love it. And there you go at the bottom of the screen. You will as well find those socials for our people joining us today. So make sure you tap in with 19 Media Group, man. They're awesome partners with us here at Ball and Buds, obviously, with Cowley, Warrenshaw, and now Desmond Powell. We really appreciate 19 Media Group. Tap in with them on YouTube and as well the Mid Post Pod on IG. Yeah, that's why I like to introduce people, because I like to give people their own little solid introductions that get people hyped up. You know what I mean? So, all right, sure. Cool. Let's kick this bad boy off, shall we? Hey, as you said, the greatest time of year for NBA fans is the playoffs, and wow, what a season we had. I mean, from all the different storylines, and that's going to be my first question to both of you gentlemen, that we had this year, from the tanking to the 65-game rule to the Kawhi Leonard and aspiration to all of these other things that went into the season. What was our favorite storyline, most important storyline? Now, Desmond, usually I would let people give their own answer to this, but because you are new to the show, I have to give you the topic because weren't on the last show and didn't get to answer this when we all did last time. And I need to know your opinion on how do we fix tanking in the NBA.
Oh, that is a doozy, man. I have to admit, I when it comes to tanking, I tend to lean towards the players, and that's usually how I operate with my NBA commentary. I can't help it, and I wish I could speak a little bit more on that business side. I've just always been of the notion that at the end of the day, I think as fans, we have to remember that players don't want to tank. And even coaches don't want to tank. The reason why they tank is so they can keep a job. And I think somebody like David Fizdale, if you've heard a lot of his interviews as of late, where he reflects on his time with the New York Knicks, he straight up says, like, that's the biggest regret of my career. Not necessarily the fact that I took that job, but the fact that I took a job where tanking required that I would have a job. And so when it comes to tanking, I that's always what I gravitate towards. And I have to say, as somebody, as a Bulls fan, being from Illinois, like,
okay,
I had to hear a lot of commentary and banter from fans and voicing their opinions and whatnot. And I totally understand it. The reason why you become a OKC Thunder and a San Antonio Spurs is so you build through the draft. And the Bulls have not made that deliberate effort. But at the same time, when you have a management that takes pride in, I would say, going about the rebuilding process in a more integral way, and having players that take pride in competing just on a human level, it's very hard to force those franchises to tank. So personally, I don't really have an answer to that question. I hate to dodge the first question you give me, Omar. But,
I mean, it sounds like you're dodging my question on the first question,
I know.
Desmond. What's going on?
I know there's talks of flattening the draft odds and things of that nature. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to try. The one thing I respect about Adam Silver, him being more of the cool uncle opposite of David Stern, he is going to at least try everything. He's going to throw everything on the board and try it, whether it's a tournament or, you know what? Okay, you guys don't like tanking. Well, let's flatten the draft odds. Let's take out the draft. I don't know how well that's going to go. But yeah, I just tend to lean more towards whatever the players are thinking.
Now, Bobby G, so everybody can hear what you said last time, because there may be new people watching this program today that didn't hear it last time. And so Desmond can hear it and analyze your proposition, please.
Yeah, let's go ahead. And I added an extra caveat since then. But essentially my idea was Desmond, screw the players. I don't care what they think. It's about the people who buy the tickets, who pay the salaries that allow you to do what you do, right? So my solution was we're going to hit the owners. You're already fining teams for not playing players in certain games, right? All right, so let's take that further. Let's now hit the owners. So and just going by this year's scale, my original scale was 35 games, if I believe it was Omar. 35 games is your threshold. Okay.
Yeah.
If your team cannot win 35 games, and this is the part that I added. This year, I think the only team who didn't win 40 games and made the playoffs was Golden State Warriors, but they did win 37, so they hit the 35 win threshold. Now, so from 35 to 40 win, or from 35 wins to a 500 record, you don't have to decrease your ticket sales, but you can increase. So you're at the stat, whatever you were at that season, you're there. If you don't win 30, if you win 35 games, from 35 to 30 games, you have to decrease your ticket sales the following season by 5%. If you win between 30 to 25 games, you have to decrease by 10%. If you can't win 20 games, you have to decrease your ticket sales next year by 30%. And for every subsequent year, just like they do with the salary cap, your tiers, your penalty tiers. So every subsequent year you're below the threshold, we're going to tack on 3% to your decrease. So let's say we'll take who am I looking at? The Dallas Mavericks won 26 games. So right now they'd be at a 10% decrease in ticket sales. Next year, if they don't win, they'd be at 13. If they do it again, 16%. Every year they're going to add 3% to that decrease. Along with that, no more protection on draft picks. No more protection. If you trade your draft pick, you trade your draft pick. The way you get out of your penalty for decreasing ticket sales, 2 seasons above the threshold. That's 36 wins, 2 years in a row. That's not hard. That's not hard. It shouldn't be a hard thing to do, especially if your goal is to get better. So that was my solution as far as tanking. And if you go by that model this year, you would have 10 teams in the NBA who are below that threshold, who would be decreasing their ticket sales between, let me take a quick look, between 10 and nobody hit the 30% threshold. So no team won.
And so who would be last on that list?
2 teams. I'm sorry, 2 teams won less than 20 games. Pacers and the Wizards.
Okay, so let's take the Wizards because I'm from DC. How many games did they win?
17.
17. Now we don't know ticket sales for them, but let's just spit out a round number of 1 million fans just to make it easy.
Okay.
So they sell, and obviously they have more than that, but let's say they had 1 million fans over the season. Your 30% or your, sorry, what was it?
30% for, no, 30 for losing less than 20 games. 30, you have to decrease by 30%.
So wow, yeah, that's like.
So if your average ticket cost is $100, then next year it's going to be 70.
And for every, got it. So not the so not the number of tickets sold, but the price of the ticket.
Why am I paying to come see a losing product?
Got it.
It's
very punitive. But Desmond, what do you think?
I see it. That is better than a lot of the things that I've seen, like just scrolling the timeline. Like it's well thought out. It's hurting their pockets, so it's making them make decisions. I dig it.
I mean, how long did the NBA let Donald Sterling operate impunity in just owning the Clippers, collecting money while they just lost year after year, and they weren't even tanking? He just didn't care, and they lost year after year. Never re-signed any talent. He was basically a farm system for the rest of the NBA. Like, let's not repeat that. Like learn from your past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think it's a really good proposition. Do I think it is a bit punitive? Yes, but I mean, like you said, if your goal is to light a fire under their ass and be like, hey, if we are going to be very punitive and make sure that you at least try your best, then that would pretty much make me try to do better if I know that I'm going to lose, $30 off of every $100 of tickets sold. So, yeah.
So,
all right, cool. All right, Wobby G, what is your storyline? I know that was the original question, but I know we got way away from that. But
I need these agents to calm down, man. Kay Cunningham's agent, I need you to have a whole seat. Because you're making a case for your client, want to file a petition, and he didn't get. I'm sorry, Victor Wembanyama missed out on Defensive Player of the Year. Where was your Superman cape then? Oh, that's not your client. You don't make any money off of Wemby. We're gonna be quiet. If you're not speaking up for the whole, don't speak up for the one.
Big facts.
By the way, your client, who's part of the Players Association, signed off on that to be in the CBA. So let's calm down on that.
Mm-hmm. And I think we need to look at, and Desmond, we'll pass this to you for your thoughts on this, but and we might as well stick on this because this is one of the storylines we're going to touch on anyways. But the 65 game rule has been much maligned this season, to say the least. A lot of people like the agents, some players, even Luka now appealing to get his games back for the birth of his child, which, okay, I can understand that. But once you start giving those little bits away, then everybody else starts to want to apply. Like then Kay Cunningham says, okay, well, I had a collapsed lung. That's extraordinary. And yeah, it is. But injuries happen all the time in sports. So that shouldn't necessarily give you an advantage. And again, I said this last time and I'll say it again. If you can't play in it's 69% like 69.3 something percent of your team's games, you weren't valuable enough to be the league's most valuable player. Could you still have been valuable to your team? Case in point, Jason Tatum. Yes, he only played the last 2 months, but he played really well and helped the team. Was he the most valuable player? No, not even on his own team. Jaylen Brown was. Thoughts, Desmond?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing for sure, because it and we're seeing it right now. It's already affecting how we talk about the game, how it's already affecting the discourse of the NBA. The thing I said on my show is like, and not to say that this is an example that would happen this season, but just randomly, imagine if somebody like Jalen Johnson, who's having an excellent year this year, gets an all-NBA spot that probably could have went to somebody like Kawhi Leonard, then the conversation becomes, oh, well, that should have been Kawhi's, or that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Kawhi, as opposed to just simply congratulating Jalen Johnson on receiving that accolade. Like, I love the thought process that Adam Silver at least tries to bring solutions to the things that fans care about. But the thing with that is it's really going to affect how we talk about these guys down the line, not even just in the present, but down the line. So I think in the beginning, it was a nice way to, I guess, influence, or I should say de-influence load management, which you could kind of understand. But I think, to your point, Omar, you can't control injuries at the end of the day. And something like this is trying to do that, and especially when you have players, like you said, trying to appeal a lot of these decisions, it's going to turn into a real like injury circus kind of thing. So I don't think this is going to stay around long term. I do think this is going to be something that Adam Silver is going to have to think about long term, because while he had great intentions, it's not really turning out the way that it should.
No, I agree completely. The intentions were great. Trying to get away from what you mentioned was that load management that Kawhi started, and trying to get players to incentivize their players to play more. Got it. Great. Good. But if you're going to do it, you've got to be able to be malleable if there is a need for you to change, like you said, which he probably will do, if not remove completely. But at the same time, you've also got to stick to your guns. Like, if this is what you want to do and you want to incentivize the players to play more, and clearly they want to win these awards if they're complaining about it, then there needs to be something in there. And I think personally, 65 games is easily achievable for an MVP of a team.
Now, how do you guys feel about, because I know Victor Wembanyama just came out and said that it should be about minutes as opposed to games. How do you guys feel about that? I think if they're going to keep the rule, that would be the way to go. Not necessarily do 65 games, but make a minutes threshold instead.
I didn't hear that. So I'd have to look into it. But it sounds better than the games per se, I guess. But then they would just be taking full games off at points, though, again. And it would be the load management. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also like this. How many minutes do you think Shai Gilgeous gets to sit out because he plays on a monster squad? Because they're up by 30 in the fourth quarter and he doesn't have to play. So, see, it doesn't really balance you, and you're going to reward somebody whose numbers could be slightly better because he plays 36 minutes a game. Like, Donovan Mitchell had one of the best years of his career. He played 30 minutes a game. He played less minutes. He was actually more productive. So it's like going to the minutes threshold, not a fan of that either. It's like, and you're going to be judged regardless. Like Dikembe Mutombo, one of the best centers of all time. You know how many all-NBA teams he has? 3. You would think he'd have more. He played in a very, very good era. Exactly. I played against Shaquille O'Neal, Keem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing,
David Robinson.
Right. But in the debate, he's going to get penalized because he only made 3. And Mutombo was an 80-game-a-year player. So it's like you're going to get penalized regardless. But it's like you say, if you can't, you can't come to work 70% of the time, you don't deserve it.
I mean, if I told you that you were running a business and you had a company and your best employee only came in 70% of the time, would he be your best employee, or would he be on the way to being possibly fired and getting the hell out of your organization? Because if you're only coming to work 77, sorry, you ain't making me pay for 70% of the work. I'm going to fire your ass. So, any
Yeah.
other storylines, gentlemen, that y'all can think of? Desmond, you got anything else for us?
Yeah, two came to mind, but I think the main one I want to roll with is the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, this was a team that
Yes.
I said
want to
before
talk
the
about
season,
that.
like, if they can stay healthy, they're probably going to creep back to the play-in, which they did. But there've been a lot of games this season where they play a lot better than their record just because they have such a high octane offense. I mean, and I think the biggest thing that you want to look at is that Charles Lee does a lot of interesting things with the personnel that they have out there. Like the way that sometimes they'll give it to Musa Diabate around the nail and let LaMelo Ball come set a screen,
that 3 times
and
fast.
like using pick and rolls in inverted ways that just you wouldn't think to do, but it works for them because of the personnel they have. They control the glass. They take and make threes. And I mean, they're incredibly valuable on offense. The crazy thing is, I remember that I believe it was the ESPN game on MLK week, I want to say. They faced the Cleveland Cavaliers, low scoring game. But the wildest thing about that game is that the Charlotte Hornets were down almost like 25 or something like that early in the game. And there was no rattle. There was no like lost confidence or anything like that. They fully believed that our offense is going to put us right back in this game. And it did. And even though they lost, I think moments like that showed them this season, like, okay, we're ready. We're ready. Yes, we still have more leaps to take, but from where we were the last few seasons, we've made a lot of strides. And I think they've easily been one of the most impressive stories of the season.
I mean, you are spot on.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things in my notes that I wanted to talk about because tonight we actually have, and starting here in about 7 minutes, the Hornet and Heat will tip off in the play-in tournament. Bobby G, you called this last off season when we had our review show. You called the Charlotte Hornets. I need a pat you on the back, my brother. How do you feel about the Hornets season?
Went according to plan, and second pat on the back. I also told everybody that Con Canepa was the most NBA ready rookie
yes, you
in
did.
that draft.
You said that.
I'm
And
not
we'll get to that later. Don't bury
Right.
the lead. We'll talk rookie of the year. Don't bury it.
But just this season. They're I agree 100% with Desmond. Like, and the only thing I can add is they're that team that doesn't know. They don't know that they're supposed to lose to this team. They don't know that they're supposed to not be in this game with 5 minutes left. Like, you just don't know what you don't know. The only thing for them, I hope they learn the lessons that they need to learn in the postseason should they win tonight. And I would love to see them win tonight because I want to see them get that experience. I want to see that growth, and I want to see what happens next.
I'm right with you.
And I agree with that. Oh, go ahead, Devin. Oh,
That's
I
all
thought
I
you
got.
You want to say something? Oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you. I agree with you as well. I think that the Hornets are on the rise, and they need it right now more than Miami does. Miami needs a leading man. They need a star. Not that Bam Adebayo is not great, but they need another lead horse there in order for them to get back to greatness. They know what they need. They know the formula there.
I have a question
Hornets,
for you.
So, yes, please.
Okay, for both of you, since you say that, is it time for Pat Riley to step down?
No, that's blasphemous. I can't believe you
Is
said
it?
such a thing. I mean, if I'm him, I'm telling you to shut the hell up. If I'm him, it's my team, man. Who gonna make me step down? No, I mean, look. Are you firing Pat Riley, the GM? Are you firing Pat Riley, the leader? Are you firing Pat Riley, the legend? There's a lot of things that go into that.
All of it. Do today's players respect Pat Riley as that?
Okay.
Like, heat culture seems like it's coming to an end. Like, the players look at the way you treated D Wade on his way out. Players look at the way you treated Jimmy Butler on his way out. Players look at the fact that you had Kevin Durant in the palm of your hand and you missed that opportunity. Like, Pat, what's going on, man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had similar questions to Bobby G.
Ah,
I thought about
okay.
that the
Wow.
past year. I won't lie. I thought about that within the past year. Like, is it time for just somebody else? It's kind.
Yeah.
I actually compared it a little bit to Jerry Jones. Like, is it just time where there just needs to be a new
Okay.
face? They've done their. They have all the lore in the world, but now it might be time for somebody else. I wouldn't. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it's interesting though.
So like
'cause
a new
I'm
voice
also with
sort of
Omar.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get away from that though sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's also his presence and his leadership is important. People, I don't know that I can wholeheartedly agree with you, Bobby G, because I think even the younger players realize the legend that is Pat Riley. Just the name alone is in the hallowed halls of basketball. I think any player would love to play under Pat Riley just to say I played under Pat Riley. Now, does that mean he can still construct a roster like he used to be able to? That he still has the golden touch? Maybe, maybe not. We won't know unless he can turn his team around in the near future, the next couple of years. And because if not, yeah, he is going to be gone. Because at some point you get pushed out, no matter who you are, and no matter how legendary you are. But I think that Miami's a lot closer than most people think. I think they got a decent roster. So, shout out to 19 Media Group says, shout out to the young king, Desmond Powell. Hey, we appreciate y'all.
Shout out
tuning
my
in.
people, man. Shout out
Loving
my
having
people.
Desmond on today. There you go.
Thank you guys.
Shout out my boy T. Roy. Said what up? Hey, my brother. Hey, I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to see Bobby G in Vegas with Wildcard Mar. We're gonna go watch WrestleMania this weekend. It's gonna be a tremendous time. I will be there. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for the birthday wishes, my brother. I'll see you when I come home.
Happy birthday to you as well, bro.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. This weekend coming up, I'm super excited. It's time for Pat to go, says T. Roy. So he agrees with you. Okay, cool. So we'll see what happens. I guess I'm in the minority here on people that think Pat Riley needs to get the hell out of the way. All right, we'll see what happens. Cool. All right. Well, you said you had another storyline, Desmond. I wonder if it was something else I wanted to talk about. What was the other storyline you had?
Yeah, I did want to show the San Antonio Spurs some love. That was a team
there you go.
that before the season, I had them fourth, I want to say, in the West. And
most people didn't even have them there. Most people had them as a play-in team, to be completely honest.
Exactly. And I went and I was scrolling through the Twitter search, and I'm looking at Spurs fans like, yo, like everybody else got to chill out. Like we know we have Wemby, but whoa, we not that good. But over time, I think that's what I believed in at the end of the day. When you have somebody like Wemby and you got junkyard dogs like Stephon Castle and you got somebody like Dylan Harper, who is such already possessing a veteran presence to get to the rim at will. You have De'Aaron Fox, who in a lot of ways this season redeemed himself from just the small sample size he gave last year with this team. I was like, oh, this is nice. You got shooting in Julian Champagne. You got a great shot maker opposite of Fox and Wemby in Devin Vassell. If he can come through in the playoffs the way that he has in the regular season, it should be no surprise that the Spurs get to a deep run and as I think most of us would like to see, face a team like OKC in the Western Conference Finals. So I definitely wanted to show them some love as well.
For sure.
Man, you are not wrong about that. I'm coming right to you, Bobby G. You're not wrong about that at all. I also wanted to talk about that because, like I said, most people had them as a play-in team. And Wemby just making astronomical strides as the alien that he is. You like what I did there, pun intended. So when you look at the rise of the Spurs, it really is, Bobby G, about that roster. That roster is immaculately constructed. They have really good players up and down, and the depth is tremendous. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, agree 100% with everything Desmond said. Literally I can't remember where I had him I know I had him in the playoffs, but I can't remember where I had him. But the only question mark I have about this team is if it's not Wemby's night, who's number two? Like that, they have not figured that out. Like the thing OKC didn't have to worry about, or they learned was, hey, if it ain't SGA's night, Jalen, we coming to you. Oh, Jalen ain't got it. Chet, we coming. It's a pecking order. What's the Spurs pecking order? It's like they don't know in the games that they lost down the stretch. That seemed to be the issue. When the Nuggets clamped down on women, it's like, oh, we're gonna deny you the ball. who is going to step up and be like, I got it. So that's the only question I have for Stefan or De'Aaron. One of y'all got to decide. One of y'all got to decide. I'm number 2.
Yeah, and on that point, hey, what a perfect time for our other brother to come in, also representing that 19 Media Group life from the Baseline NBA podcast or NBA Baseline podcast. My apologies. Our brother Cal Lee, what's good, brother?
What's good, fellas? Y'all can hear me?
Uh-oh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
What's
yes.
good, Cal?
Absolutely. Hey, man. See, that's the beauty of sitting in the green room, man. You can hear Bobby G starting up trouble already, man. Yo, cueing me up for me to start me and him to start going at it, man. No,
What's going on,
hey,
brother, man? How you been?
Yeah, once again, hey, man, doing good, man. And once again, shout out to Sports Professor, you know what I'm saying, and the Ball and Buds podcast, you know what I'm saying, for extending the red carpet. Perfect time, best time of the year. Shout out to my man Dez, so yeah, man, let's get at it, man. Let's get at it.
We are repping from the mid post to the baseline. You see Desmond, he gonna kick it out to Cal for the open 3. Cal, let them know where they can find you, my brother.
Oh man, so Baseline NBA podcast available on all the major platforms. You can go to www.thebaselinenba.com that's our home website. But we rocks with the 19 Media Group family. So if you want to catch us on the YouTube channel, go to www.19mediagroup.com. Or if you're on YouTube, just go and look up the Baseline NBA podcast, and through the 19 Media Group channels, you'll catch our episodes and stuff like that, man. So yeah, man, we've been riding on a pretty nice wave, man. Covering a lot of great content in the basketball ethos. Just as a for people who are trying to pique their interest into, what it takes to get into the NBA, we've had some really, really great guests on who have been able to do some tremendous work in storytelling that's covering the basketball culture. And I think anybody who appreciates, what it takes, to get to this stage, basically being in the spotlight with an opportunity to help lead their team to a possible NBA title. When you see some of the stories that have kind of come out recently, we just finished, we're dropping an episode with Sasha Gardner, who's part of the Netflix Untold series. And he just covered, the Trailblazer teams of the 2000s, aka the Jailblazers. And it was really a fascinating conversation that we had with him. And I encourage people who are Netflix or people who are into Netflix or wanting to be in Netflix, check it out. Whether you're a basketball enthusiast or just somebody who's just kind of interested in documentaries, definitely check out this upcoming release by Sasha Gardner covering the 2000 Portland Trailblazers and why they were being named as the Jailblazers. It's a really fascinating conversation, but our interview with him is even more fascinating. So that just tees you up. If you need a little bit of a teaser for you to incentivize yourself to go out there to check that out, definitely do that. And then we just recently had a really great interview with Corey Colvin and Carlton Sobbs, who put together the Prime Video documentary series that covered the McDonald's All-American game and the history of how it came about. And it's just a really fascinating story, a really fascinating documentary to check out as well too, because people ever understand, why it was important for kids to grow up and be McDonald's All-Americans. Look at how they cover it and the people that they had a chance to interview, and you can tell, every single one of these guys we're probably going to be watching in this year's playoffs at some point or another were considered a McDonald's All-American, and therefore there was almost a 70-80% chance you were going to likely see these guys in the NBA. But out of all of those people that we're talking about, there's only a small percentage that actually do make it into pros and succeed. So there's the glory of the greatness of it, and then there's also the other end of it as well too. So some really great stuff going on. I don't want to you know what I'm saying, take up too much of that time. But that's what's been kind of going in the hopper right now on the baseline side of things. And we haven't even scratched the surface of our autopsy reports, you know what I'm saying, covering the teams that are dead and dusted. And then, you know, obviously doing our coverage, covering the NBA playoffs, man. So a lot of stuff going on. It's a great time.
As Fody Water would say, dusted and disgusted, my friends. Desmond,
Exactly.
Desmond, you will find out that Cal, myself, and Bobby G love to talk hip hop, so we try to work that.
Oh, come on, that was my former show, man. That's my former show.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah,
man, that's big.
You must have triggered that word. Now here comes the Winter Soldier right now. Des gonna turn Winter Soldier on us. Watch out now.
Hey, let's go.
We'll all be
I love
dropping
that, man.
bars in a
That's
second.
awesome. Hey, yes, we will. No, I love that though. Big
Des
things
Powell
on
turned
your
into
side,
Des
man.
Prez real quick.
Des Prez. That's good. I like that. That's
new
awesome,
one.
man. Congrats to you and Warren on the big things y'all are doing over there at the Baseline NBA podcast. Obviously, you know, we love having y'all on and giving your knowledge and expertise here on Ball and Bud. So thank you very much, as always, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Y'all make sure you tap in with 19 Media Group, Baseline NBA, Mid Post Pod, and Audible Sports as well. All right, cool. So give us your thoughts. We were just talking about our storylines of the year. As you heard, two of the last storylines we talked about were the Hornets and Spurs, you know, getting better. We talked about tanking as well, but we already got your thoughts on tanking last time. What we did not get your thoughts on, and what we talked about earlier, and what I want you to answer is, what are your thoughts on the 65-game rule for these awards?
I don't have a problem with the 65-game rule if the intent of it is to properly use it to measure out the numbers of how, you know, players who are participating in it, receiving these awards, operate. I think there's a lot of tweaking that still needs to happen if you still have it. In other words, guys that are obviously injured, you know, and yet when they're here, if there are, I don't even know so much as it's as a specific number as much as it is a percentage. I think if you have participated at least 60% of the games in the NBA season, I think you should be considered, you know, in whatever awards that you qualify for. I think when you start putting numbers on, it becomes very dicey, because we've seen windows of players, you know, go balls out, right, in a 15-20 game stretch, and then they pull a hammy and they're gone for, you know what I'm saying, almost a quarter of the season because of it. So it wasn't as if like that window should just be completely dismissed just because he fell to an injury performing at the highest level that even most people would have said, oh, this person is just deserving of winning an MVP. Now, does that mean that he automatically should get the MVP? No, I mean, in totality of work, you look at everything. But I just don't like the idea of saying, if you don't meet this game minimum, then you're suddenly out of consideration or out of contention. And I think the NBA has to tread very carefully in the way that it kind of touts that, because from a marketing perspective, it dismisses what those superstar players were doing in that stint. It helps drum up the conversations of who you're considering as MVP worthy or rookie of the year worthy or whatever the case may be. And then by suddenly saying, oh, well, that person didn't meet the 65-game minimum, they become an afterthought. Everything about their resume for that season becomes an afterthought at the expense of a hardened rule that you're enforcing, because it's more so about not just the players, but also the franchise and the way that they conduct themselves with load management, right? I look at it like this. Imagine, if you will, Michael Jordan, right? Basically electing to not play 15, 20 games, but still giving you the kind of performances that he gives you night in, night out, right? Are we still not saying Michael Jordan was still considered the best player during that season, or at, you know, completely, especially having the most successful basketball team during that year? And it doesn't matter what year. I'm just saying in general. The reason why it resonates is because Michael Jordan never said that. He's never said, I'm going to take games off, or, you know what I'm saying? Because that was the mentality. That was the environment. So you have to change and adapt with the environment as well, too. And I just think I understand the intent of putting this rule in place, but you also have to make sure that you outline it properly so that when people understand why a person has been disqualified, you're not lump summing guys who really did give you an excellent season given the circumstances, and then get caught with the, you know what I'm saying, the injury bug, and suddenly we're dismissing them just simply because our eyes are fixated on the guys that still are playing basketball games. I'm not saying this don't count it or do count it, but what I'm saying is you have to be careful on how you kind of set that narrative, because it just kind of undermines the whole idea of a person in a window who actually was the most dominant player at that time, and we're dismissing it simply because we got to the end of the season, and instead of having 5 or 6 MVP candidates, now we're down to 2 or 3.
Interesting. So I hear your take. I hear you saying you want to lower it to 60%, which I did the math would give us 49 games out of 82 that you would have to play in to reach a 60% plateau. I will argue, and I used our team as a barometer. Jason Tatum didn't play most of the season. Now, granted, I get that, he played only 30 games, so he wasn't even close to that, benchmark, but I'm just using him as an example. He played really well when he came back. You could say if he were on a team with no Jaylen Brown, he would have been the MVP of that team, even only playing the last 2 months of the season. That being said, he wasn't. He is on a team with Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown is the MVP on that team for this season because Jason Tatum did miss so many games. And so my thing is, what I said was, I feel like 70% or 69%, which is what that 65 games is. If you can't play in that, how can you be considered an MVP of the league? Sure, you could be the MVP of your own team, but how can you be the MVP of the league when you didn't even play in, 30% of the games? And so to even lower it 10% further, now we're looking at you not even playing, barely over half the games and being considered. And I think that would be a little too far-fetched for me.
Probably, but I think you're answering my question in that,
okay.
You know what I'm saying, SP, in that, so you're saying that it's more than just the games, right? That we should be using to determine whether or not a person should be considered as an MVP candidate. Because my counter argument to you would be is, during these last few seasons, while Jason Tatum put up impressive numbers, do you really think that he was actually the MVP, right? Like in the NBA finals, he wasn't the MVP to help them win that title. Ultimately, that was Jaylen Brown. And this has always been the question, that we've said about the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown dynamic. Who really is the heart and soul of that team? Now, I'm not dismissing the importance of Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, by all stretch and imagination, from a numbers perspective, is the MVP on most teams. But what I'm saying is that when you need to galvanize and ultimately make your team better, you're now beginning to see why Jaylen Brown was that much more important. And I think because of the injury, it's allowed that now to resonate and step up and shine. Now, he's gotten to do this over the span of a full NBA season, right? Like, he played about 90% of the games played. And I will say, while it was questionable into the beginning of the season because of the meniscus tear that he suffered last season, that he still came out and he put the numbers that he put. So just in that conversation that we're having right now, I would never be considering Jason Tatum as an MVP candidate, because Jaylen Brown, by his numbers and also by what he's done and displayed, and the story around what that meant to the Boston Celtics and what the Boston Celtics did, in and of itself exemplifies someone that should be talked more about as an MVP than worrying about whether or not Jason Tatum, in this small window, coming back and putting the numbers that he's putting up, is saying that he should have been or would ever be considered as an MVP candidate. What I'm saying is that the criteria can actually be relegated in a way that it doesn't only strictly look at the minimum games, and you're looking at everything in its totality. I think the other reason that this becomes important too is, remember, players who don't meet those minimums in their contractual agreements are going to wind up on the short end of the sticks for supermax contracts because of circumstances that may be out of their control, simply because what's been mandated about the minimum games being played they no longer get access to those incentives because they're no longer considered for all NBA. They're no longer considered for other incentives that their contractual agreements allow for. So that's the reason why I'm saying that we have to tread carefully, I'm not saying we, I'm saying the NBA has to tread carefully, because I don't disagree with you. You want to up it? No problem. Go ahead and up it. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't solely be the reason why you're mandating this, because there are other things that are at play that is going to impact the whole circumstance of why we're even considering some of these players in the award categories that we're talking about.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. That does make sense. Gentlemen, any thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with a lot of what he said, and let's all raise a glass to Derrick Rose, because he's the reason we're in this conundrum, right? Had Derrick Rose not won an MVP at 22 years old.
Not the Derrick Rose shots. Jeez Louise, man.
It's not a shot. It's a fact. If the voters, because just like Lee said, there's a lot that goes in MVP. And a lot of people believe LeBron James should have won MVP that season. But because they gave it to Derrick Rose, because the Bulls were a surprise team, he got the surprise team votes. And because he was on a rookie deal, now all this money is tied up into postseason, end of year awards and your supermax contracts. It's that all goes back to Derrick Rose. Disconnect that stuff, man. Disconnect.
I mean, you could also have the same conversation about Steve Nash and Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah,
right.
But the thing is how many conversations did we have about a game's threshold prior to them connecting the supermax contract to end of year awards? We never had that conversation. It was who deserved MVP and who didn't, who was first MVP and who didn't. Nobody cared how many games you played. It was just, did you deserve it? But once they attached that, if you get this award, it's a supermax contract, then it became all about the qualifications, just like you said. Stop making the answer to every issue. Put money on it. Like, actually come up with real solutions. Just stop trying to, you know what? Put money on it. They'll do it. Put money into the pot. That's not.
And to your point, Bobby, sometimes the NBA winds up making issues of situations that really don't deserve issues. Like,
and that's what Desmond was saying.
They're actually feeding into the feeding frenzy. Just because some media outlets bitch and complain about why their favorite player isn't being considered or is not going to win the MVP, it suddenly causes a brouhaha, because again, in football, which is ultimately one of the most team-oriented sports you can think of, baseball, team-oriented sports. However, there's an individual aspect to the marketing style of it, right? And the NBA is the ultimate individual marketing aspect of this type of thing. So when people start complaining, about one singular player, it suddenly then creates this chain reaction of fervor that the NBA feels like they got to cave into every single time somebody complains. Like this whole thing with the tanking stuff and how we've had these conversations.
Right.
The NBA doesn't necessarily have to sit here and address every single thing. What they had going prior to what you were talking about, Bobby, was good enough. Now, you want to implement and add little certain, nuances into it, no problem. But you also have to recognize that when doing it, you've got to make sure that it's airtight, like everything is on point with it, because then again, we come back to the same conversation. It's not about satisfying me. It's about making it make sense. And at times that's what doesn't happen. Once they start implementing these things, it just doesn't start making sense, and that's just the unfortunate circumstance of it. So maybe it's good because they want this kind of, upheaval and fervor and banter and chat. But I think in the end of it, to anybody who's following the NBA, we don't want to be sitting here second guessing people who we know outright deserves to be in the conversations of MVP, and yet we're still trying to figure out what that criteria is, right? Like, we don't have to worry about that when it comes to baseball, right? We don't have to worry about that when it comes to the NFL. In most cases, we clear-cut see who really should be the MVPs of their respective leagues or their respective conferences. And it takes a neck and neck guys like literally going at it toe to toe. In most cases, it's pretty much clear cut as in the past about who the MVP would be in the NBA. But now, because we've implemented all of these little nuances and little tricks in there, so we can start drumming up. The problem is now we're starting to throw people in there who really have no business being in there, right? Like it's basically an act of attrition, while guys are backdooring their way into the MVP conversation because the other guys who typically would be considered MVP, we're sitting here worrying whether or not they're going to meet a minimum game threshold, even though their numbers by leaps and bounds are going to run laps around whoever it is we're still considering as MVP worthy. Like that makes absolutely no sense.
Okay. I do like what you did there because I do agree as I keep track on Basketball Reference for the MVP tracker throughout the season. And as we got closer to the end of the season, you started to see people like Jamal Murray and Chet Holmgren and other players start to move into the top 10 of the Basketball Reference MVP. And you're like, well, are they really an MVP or are they just good players?
They had a conversation with FanDuel and DraftKings and be like, what can we do to kind of, up the betting numbers, the betting lines. You know what I'm saying? Because they need somebody to drop, $100 on the plus 1,500 if we're saying Jamal Murray is going to wind up, maybe taking the MVP. We need somebody to push those prop numbers. So I'm like, why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is nuts.
So just for the sake of the threshold,
yeah.
I think since the 82 game schedule has been introduced, there's never been an MVP play less than 65 games. So
okay, so that's probably where they got that number from to start with. Then I'm assuming they probably looked at past MVP candidates and said, okay, well, how many games did we let them play? Again, I see where you're going, Cal, and I can. You starting to get me to come over to your side a little bit, especially with that last argument about people that are not really worthy, being on those lists near the end of the season because of the attrition that we see with people like Cade Cunningham and Luka Doncic not being on there because, birth of a child, collapsed lung. But I also said earlier about Cade Cunningham, well, a collapsed lung is very unfortunate and prayers up that you get well soon. But that's an injury that caused you to miss games, and injuries are a part of the game. And if you have an injury, sorry, you're just not able to be up for the award, even if your statistics were good enough during the time that you were playing. Desmond,
yeah, but even if the statistics are good enough, I'm not saying that your point, SP is not a valid point. And I'm sorry, Des, were you going to chime in?
No, it's all good. You got it. I was just gonna say the thing about the MVP and a lot of these awards really is, and all of you really alluded to it, is that it's always been a how award, not necessarily a what award. No matter what happens, we're always going to look at the narrative. We're always going to look at the story. If somebody's story looks better than, I guess, somebody's legitimate case than what the numbers say, we're always going to gravitate towards that person. I do think in a lot of ways that is what happened with Derrick Rose. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but, I had to represent for Illinois, man. Like, I obviously being
Definitely
somebody from there, seeing the impact he had on the city, like that was one of the most obvious choices in recent memory. I think those things are always going to happen regardless of what happens, what the NBA chooses to do with the criteria.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that
go ahead.
I was just going to quickly say, as it pertains to like the situation with Cade Cunningham, again, Cade Cunningham put up impressive numbers, no doubt, but he was a long shot. You look at what SGA has done this season. You look at what Nikola Jokic has done. You look at what Victor Wembanyama has done. If Cade Cunningham isn't putting up numbers, just numbers, I'm just saying the numbers in similarity to where those three guys are, I'd be hard pressed, collapsed lung or not, that he's going to be considered one of the top three people to be MVP. The people who are probably going to be shooting for him to be MVP are either going to be diehard Pistons, diehard Cade, Oklahoma State. You know what I'm saying? Like all the people who've been following this kid, they're going to be pushing like, oh, he should be considered the MVP, because we'll go back to the very narrative. If Cade Cunningham wasn't on that Detroit Pistons roster, would the Detroit Pistons win 60 games this season? And of course, the answer to that is hell to the no. right?
Right.
But
Yes, of
you
course.
can make the same argument for guys like SGA and guys like Nikola Jokic. And I'm saying, so you move to the next narrative of what the definition is of what the MVP is. And I think, again, if as long as we don't allow a game minimum to undermine the point of what Dez and Bobby G have been talking about, what the story speaks to, then I think we'll be fine. But when you incidentally stumble us into that conversation, because that's the thing that's standing out there, that's the elephant in the room, it only aggravates the situation. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't accelerate the situation and antagonizes the situation, which is what you don't want.
No, you're completely right. And that's what has happened. All the buzzing up from different agents, as Bobby G talked about, the players themselves, the fans, the Cade Cunningham stands in Oklahoma State, which you would have to be a real fan to know that Cade Cunningham even went to Oklahoma State. But they are definitely cheering for him. I see what you're saying, and I am starting to come over to your side, Cal. I really appreciate you.
It's cool, man. I want you. I want us to agree to disagree, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing what you're saying, though, and it makes a lot of sense that. Whether there's a game threshold or not, a certain number, it needs to be more about, okay, things need to be put in their proper context. Yeah. Things need to be, if Cade Cunningham did have a collapsed lung and did miss it by a game or 2 games, okay, well, maybe we do let them appeal. But the only thing with that is, as Desmond and we were talking about earlier, is then you open the can of worms for more and more people to try for these different appeals and sort of things to try to get these awards. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a can of worms for sure. I don't know how Adam Silver is going to fix this, but Desmond did say that he's probably going to remove it or change it distinctively. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for the good segue. NBA.
Let me get ahead of the haters real quick, though.
Go ahead.
Get on my MVP comment.
Okay.
LeBron James and Karl Malone both played less than 65 games and won MVP.
Okay.
People keep digging. Both of those seasons were shortened by strikes, so they were not full 82-game seasons.
Look at Bobby hedging his bets there, making sure that they can't.
Nah, you know how to hedge.
Making sure the chat don't pop
up.
Hey, shout out T-Roy says Spurs have found something. Y'all see how they've been against OKC. Momentum and confidence is a dangerous thing. And for a young squad like that, you're not wrong. That's what they need, is that momentum and that confidence. So speaking of NBA MVPs, let's go ahead and get right into it. The race on Basketball Reference has turned around somehow in the last week. I don't know why, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, was the leader in the clubhouse last week. And now on Basketball Reference, they have Nikola Jokic. So I don't know why that changed over the past week, but it did. In my opinion, you're looking at the same kind of race we've had over the past couple of years with these dudes, both playing prime time basketball. I mean, elevated skills. SGA, obviously, as much as Bobby G will lament his push-offs with the wrist, SGA is a great player. He's lethal in the mid-post. Desmond used to get him on the podcast there. And so when you see that and you put it up against a Jokic, who is an anomaly, right? He's a center that can do everything. We haven't seen something like this since maybe, a Kareem or a Wilt, where they could really, pass the ball as centers. So you also have the other end of that, though. And shout out to Man Down Sports Mel, who's been a participant with us here on NBA here before. He pointed out that he thinks that a lot of it is just stat padding, and that Jokic has been stat padding pretty much the whole second half of the season, even going so far as to make the team put him at point center so that he could bring the ball up to have more assists. I'm not in the Nuggets organization, but I can see how that possibly would be true. So we'll see. Bobby G, we'll start with you. Who is your NBA MVP?
Oh man, it's kind of like what is stat padding? The entire NBA is trying to stat pad.
I mean, that's what I guess.
You think the 12th dude on the bench is on purpose, averaging 2 points a game? No.
That's great. That's good.
No,
I'm good. I'm making enough on the
I got my bucket.
Keep making my bucket. We'll be good as long as I'm on the roster.
But to your first point, I'll tell you exactly why it changed. 136, 134, 40 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks, and a plus 12 over another MVP candidate. That's why it changed.
Okay. So you think that performance that he had against them is what gave him the MVP over SGA?
Oh yeah, and it was on national television.
It was. I don't know.
And another first, right? The first player in NBA history to lead the league in rebounds and assists.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And you know, look, no disrespect to people who assume that what these guys do is stat padding, but what exactly do you expect what do you expect Jokic to do? Right. I mean, maybe putting yourself in point guard is a little audacious, but
it's not that. But it's not. They don't put him there. He can do it.
He can do it. Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, take a look at some of the teams that we're even talking about right now in the playoffs, and how many are positioned to have a point forward or center forward operate in a space of what Jokic has already started. Victor Wembanyama is doing it, right? The Orlando Magic was thinking about doing it, or that was what they were supposed to be doing when they had Boncaro, right?
What a
You know
disappointment.
what I'm saying? You've got LeBron James. Like, this is what we're talking about. This doesn't happen. I'm not saying that Jokic did it before LeBron, but what I'm saying is that there is that comfort level in the execution of whatever system you're doing to put the ball in the hands of a person who's sure-handed. You know what I'm saying? Jamal Murray is by trade supposed to be a point guard, but he's actually a shooting guard. And that means that Adelman is more confident in Jokic's ball handling skills than Jamal Murray. You saying
that's true?
Think about what that's saying.
That says a lot about Jamal Murray, but
but listen, the road for them to win the championship won't be because Jamal Murray knows how to handle the basketball or is going to guide everybody into their sets and get them their shots. That's all. That's Jokic's responsibility. That's always been the responsibility. What the Nuggets need, right, is for Jamal Murray to be 22, 23 Jamal Murray, who is freaking just blazing people. And to do that, you have to take that pressure, that burden off of his shoulders, which is why, to me, and I'm not saying that this is what's indicative of Jokic winning the MVP. What I'm saying is that doing it in clutch situations, doing it and still rebounding the basketball and still getting shots to, you know what I'm saying, through his teammates, that resonates, that speaks volumes. You know what I'm saying? So stat pad away, bro, if your team is gonna look like what they're looking like right now.
I'm not saying that I don't agree with that. I do agree with that. I didn't necessarily agree wholeheartedly with the stat padding reasoning, but I did understand where he was coming from, because a lot of things that Jokic does seems like he's intentionally, when players will, Jason Tatum does this a lot, and he'll try his hardest to get a defensive rebound over all of his teammates, no matter if he throws an elbow and hits him in the head. And it's like, bro, you don't really need to do all that. Just get the rebounds as they come to you naturally. So maybe that's kind of where they were going. But yeah, go ahead.
But the issue with that is, and this is now not the fan, this is the coach in me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't coach don't sit there and wait on the rebound. Go get it.
But I mean, if your teammate already has it,
if I see you wait on the rebound, you're going to be sitting next to me. Like, so again, it comes with it's not that.
Hey, my 2 points on the end of the bench. I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah, it's playing ball.
All right.
An interesting point to what you're making, Bobby. Like, this to me is the thing that scares me about this Boston Celtics team. Everybody's got the Boston Celtics pegged to go to the finals. You know what I'm saying? Because we got back Jason Tatum. The reason why I can feel at least a little bit better about the Celtics getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe getting to the NBA Finals is because Jason Tatum is addressing a problem that the Boston Celtics have, which is their ability to rebound the basketball. And arguably, Jason Tatum is your best rebounder. So he helped set the tone. A couple of years ago, it was a lot easier that Jason Tatum didn't have to be the best rebounder because you arguably had the 4 best rebounders in the Eastern Conference, and Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. And it even incentivized Kristaps Porzingis to look like he could give you a double-double every now and again, right? That's not the same roster that the Celtics are working with. And going into this situation, a lot of the questions are going to be, can the Celtics get away with jacking up this many threes, but not having someone reliable to go down there and go get that basketball? And even though Keita is a surprise, they've gotten contributions from Garza and all those other guys. Again, it's all about the players that are out there that are executing to the highest level of what they're good at doing. And Jason Tatum coming back shows that. Jokic, you know what I'm saying? The reason why we're talking about the Denver Nuggets being the most dangerous team in the West next to the Spurs, you know what I'm saying, challenging the Oklahoma City Thunder, is because we're seeing Jokic take things to another level in areas that ultimately were going to be question marks for the Denver Nuggets. Like, if this is the only thing that the Nuggets are going to be good at doing, which is relying on Jokic, it's saying, is it relying on Jokic to score the basketball, or is it relying on Jokic giving that team more opportunities for Murray to shoot, for Gordon to shoot, for Johnson to shoot, for those guys to get, more shots? And he's playing at a level like that. And he's also playing defense. You know what I'm saying? I think you alluded to like 3-4 blocks. He's playing defense, something that Jokic was never, great at doing, but that's something that got SGA over to getting his MVP. You know what I'm saying? So it all matters. It all matters. There's a reason why Jokic is kind of leapfrog SGA in this standings, because timing is everything. You're doing this, and you've positioned the Denver Nuggets to be the 3rd seed. There have been years where the Denver Nuggets wind up being a 4 or 5 seed because they backdoor their way into the playoffs, and you don't have as much confidence. The reason why people picked the Minnesota Timberwolves, you know what I'm saying? And this is going to be the first year that people will be like, man, Timberwolves, like Anthony Edwards is going to need a miracle. He may come out and show up and show out, but it still ain't going to be enough with the way that the Nuggets are playing right now, and that makes the Nuggets dangerous.
No, that makes sense. Okay, so Jokic is your pick, I'm assuming, from everything that you said.
I think he's gonna take it. It's gonna be very close. I think SGA, his inside track, is his clutch 4th quarter gene ability. The fact that he is the guy. He does everything again with brutal efficiency. He has solid defensive numbers as well too. He basically is logged in about as many minutes as the other MVP candidates that are out there. But again, he does a lot of the damage, in the earliest part of the games. And then when the games are close, he is the go-to guy. And he's proven time and time again, he can be that guy. So, but I just think that, to Bobby's point, to me, it was a wash going in, because both of them had been injured to the point where they were both meeting that minimum threshold of games. So now you have to look at the back end, the stretch of games. And while OKC, they didn't necessarily take their foot off the gas, but it's just like they look at their strength of schedule and meaningful games that they did wind up having to play, and you look at what the Nuggets wound up having to do and their schedule and their strength of schedule. To me, that gave opportunity for Jokic to really sneak in there and put up some really phenomenal numbers to give him the edge.
Okay, so let's talk about the numbers real quick. Jokic led his team to a 54-28 record, SGA 64-18. A lot of times that does, make a difference, is the ability to have more wins in a playoff race. So head to head, obviously SGA would have the lead there. And Desmond, we're going to come to you in just a second. Points per game, SGA 31.1 points per game. And I'm about to put this up here in a second. Here we go. Get that up there. So Jokic, 27.7 points per game, 12.9 rebounds, 10.7 assists. Forget the numbers on the end, but those are like blocks and steals and stuff that I clearly did not know how to format properly on these comments. For real, wouldn't you? I know I hit the space button. Anyways, SGA 64-18, 31.1 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, 6.6 assists. So Jokic leads, as you mentioned, the whole league, in rebounds and assists per game, which we've never seen done by any player in history, much less a center. So granted, that is valid. Again, you got to talk about the efficiency. And SGA at 31 points a game, he's shooting, over, what is he shooting? What's his shooting percentage? Effective field goal percentage of 60% for a guard is crazy. That's crazy work for a guard. Now for Jokic, 61%, 62%, you expect that because he's plays a lot. Well, not as much as most centers, but he does play in the post a lot too. So those are your numbers. Desmond, who is your MVP pick?
Yeah. So for me, the funniest thing about this MVP race is that, first off, the terminology, right? MVP race, I want to reiterate, is not just wordplay. A lot of times it's facts, and both of you guys alluded to that earlier. There are small pockets throughout the season where somebody's hurt and somebody takes first place. That person gets hurt and somebody else takes place, and we've seen that with all three: Jokic, Shea, and Wemby. There've all been pockets throughout the season where they either missed time or didn't play a lot for whatever reason.
Yes.
Now, even with that in mind, I've just always gravitated towards Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I think it's a lot of what you just said, Omar. The obvious dominance, the Jordan-esque, at least advanced stats that he's been putting up the last couple seasons now. I mean, his team fully takes on his identity, fully takes on his approach to the game, and that's why they're able to play like that even when he's not out there. And I think you can make that argument with the other guys, but I think at the core of my belief, though, is that I feel like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has a little bit extra to prove, in a sense that you could say that last season he got a little bit of a sympathy award because they didn't give it when he actually should have got it the year prior. And then on top of that, he wins the NBA Finals, regardless of how you think it went. He wins the NBA Finals and holds Finals MVP trophy, and people still can't help but say, well, if Tyrese was out there, I feel like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander did not get that automatic respect that we like to give players who check the boxes that we feel like they should check. He won the championship at the end of the day. He got the Finals MVP as the cherry on top. He's won a scoring champion. He's led his team to the best record in the league. He's checked a lot of boxes, and I feel like this year I would love to see him get that MVP again to kind of show people like, all right, like it wasn't a fluke. And even with guys like Jokic and Wemby and whoever, I'm still up there. I'm still up there, and I still do what I do, even though he didn't. Again, I know he missed a lot of time this season. There was a little stretch there, but man, I don't know. I love me some Shea, man. I think it's what Cal said too. The clutch gene, the ability to put the team on his back. I mean, I love all of that.
Yeah, I'm right along with you. Everything you said is spot on of where I was going in my argument. Jokic, hell of a player, a once-in-a-lifetime player. I don't think we'll see something like this again, where you have a big man that can just so effortlessly score the ball. And I don't even know. I think sometimes he might have sold his soul to become an NBA basketball player, because some of these shots he be making, just throwing them shits up and they be going in. I'm like, that don't even make sense. Why? How? So,
he made a deal with
if he
the
has
devil.
if he has some secret, Robert Johnson type master guitarist, devil, meeting the devil in the country.
SP, you're basically calling him Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Exactly. But he's also won it, and I know this comes back to the fatigue of voters. When people win multiple times, we want to see other people get it. The storylines come into play. I have him pretty even, neck and neck the whole season, as Desmond said. The thing that really puts me over the top, and I'll go back to this: wins matter. And SGA had 64 wins with a team that, slightly better roster. I agree, but I still think that extra 10 wins is what puts me over the top. I'm not going to change my answer based on, just last week's one game when I had SGA as my MVP before that. So
SP, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you with your argument, right? I'm gonna help you with your argument. You can make the argument that if you give SGA the MVP award, he did not have his number 2 for most of the season. He's actually been playing with a very jaded roster, because it was not their legit starting 5. And if you're Jokic, you actually had a very healthy Jamal Murray playing with you throughout this whole season.
Which again, another detriment to Jamal Murray. Like, come on, bro.
It's well, no, I wasn't saying that to be a detriment to him. It's ironic. But ironically enough, there are just some guys, man, that just naturally are great scorers in the game, and we try to catapult them or elevate them in a space where maybe their game doesn't translate to what we consider as MVP like or should be MVP like. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And in this particular instance, the reason why the Denver Nuggets have been relevant the last 5 years, and our focus has been on Jokic because Jokic is doing amazing things, but Jokic doesn't become this amazing if he doesn't have a guy who's putting that ball in the basket and showing you the symmetry, the beauty of the two-man game. You know what I'm saying? That better than what you see with Murray and Jokic. And for that to happen, Murray's got to be on the basketball court. And listen, when I say Murray is injured, I'm not saying, well, Murray just disappears and he's gone for 70 games. What I'm saying is Murray has never been 100%. He's never, I don't know if it's kind of like the Doncic effect, right? He's never done what he's needed to do in the offseason to get himself fully ready to play a full 82 game season and be 100% healthy, ready to go when playoff time happens. It's only happened maybe a couple of years, right? But he's always had nagging injuries. And this is probably the first year that we're going to see Jamal Murray at about 100% as you could possibly ask of him to be for the Denver Nuggets to make this serious run. And it's going to be needed because the gauntlet that is the Western Conference is not going to allow them to be able to get past even the first round if both Jokic and Murray are not at optimal level, right? Like even this series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, I don't know why people are dismissing the Timberwolves and how the Timberwolves tend to play the Denver Nuggets. I think this goes 7 games. I think that if a motivated Anthony Edwards, motivated Anthony Edwards can consume a whole NBA playoff series, okay? And he himself alone can push this Denver Nuggets team. Even though when you look at the roster, the Denver Nuggets should get past the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nobody has any confidence that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to get out of this first round because they think that the last 2 years of them getting to the Western Conference Finals are a fluke. But I keep saying this is why I had Anthony Edwards pegged as my preseason MVP candidate, and it just never played out that way. But man, listen, if the Timberwolves are in the playoffs, they're about as dangerous as other teams that we've been talking about already in this playoff chase. So
facts. Big facts. I agree with that completely. I have the Wolves actually playing 2 tremendous series against them in the past, having them on upset alert, possibly. So we'll see what happens there. 19 Media Group says Aaron Gordon missed most of the season. Peyton Watson, Nuggets had injury concerns too, but SGA got it. Okay, so 19 Media Group agreeing with Desmond and myself. That's 3 for SGA, 2 for Jokic. Either way, it's going to come down to the wire. I'm excited to see who they vote in. I do think, anyways, even if, again, we look at voter fatigue and things like that, I think SGA does get it a second time because Jokic already has, his. But we're not supposed to say that happens. It does all the time. So that being said, very quickly, because we do got to get to the playoffs before we got to get off at 9. Very quickly, I do want to get, because you deserve your props on this, Bobby G, for your Con Kneppel. NBA Rookie of the Year. So very quickly, let's just go ahead and give our picks. It came down to Dallas's number 1 pick, who they got in the NBA's cheating conspiracy by trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers, making my life a living hell, and then making the Dallas Mavericks fans want to hurt themselves. Either way, they ended up getting Cooper Flagg, who played pretty well, becoming the first teenager to score 50 points. Just a scoring machine, able to score from all levels of the court. And then you have Con Kneppel, Hornets. I know, Bobby G, you're going to extol his virtues for a second, but he's led the league in threes there with his buddy LaMelo Ball in second place. So go ahead, Cal, we'll start with you on this one.
I have no problem with giving it to Con Kneppel, but I think the Rookie of the Year should go to Cooper Flagg. I just think that Con Kneppel has, by leaps and bounds, he has definitely elevated the Charlotte Hornets team to be one of the most dangerous teams and to be one of the most surprising teams. And I think that should count, right? I just think it's neck and neck. I just think that Cooper Flagg showed a lot given the circumstances of a roster that just was not a good roster. Wasn't a good roster. People want to talk about, he had Anthony Davis. They never even had Kyrie Irving. This team recognizes the versatility of Cooper Flagg. I don't know if whether or not the dynamic of Cooper Flagg and Jason Kidd may have probably stymied that level of aggressiveness that we started seeing now in the second half of the season. But Cooper Flag unleashed, he can easily be one of the more dominant players in the game of basketball. I guess if we want to give the award to the next Steph Curry, I have no problem with you giving it to Con Knipple. You know, if he, you know, it's not that he didn't earn it, but I think it's Cooper Flag is going to wind up taking it, not because, you know, the NBA wants to have egg on his face by, you know, the number one pick not getting the award. I think Cooper Flag on his own made sure that he was going to at least, you know, have people understand, hey, there's a reason why I'm the number one guy, right? And he showed that numerous times during the year. And I just think he's going to wind up taking it.
Okay, and just to let everybody know right now, you said Cooper Flag. Con Knipple is the leader in the clubhouse. Looking at the betting odds, he's at a 250 favorite. Cooper Flag is at a 190 underdog. Desmond, who do you have as your rookie of the year?
Yeah, I'm actually right with Cal. I think Con Knipple has had one of the most seamless transitions to the NBA that we've seen in a
Facts.
minute. And you know, when I say that, it's not just like the surface level like stats or impact. It's like literally how he fits with the Hornets, the way they ran their offense, his efficient 3-point shooting. Like that to me is really impressive. But at the end of the day, I do believe that Cooper Flag has been the best rookie for this NBA season. I think from top to bottom, when you look at his willingness to defend as much as he plays on offense, his mid-range game grew a lot this season, rebounding, even playmaking. So, you know, some of these things I think we figured that Cooper Flag was going to be able to show, but some of it came a little bit faster than at least I thought it would. And so I've been really impressed with Cooper Flag. And I think, you know, again, for him to be the number one pick, it's not like he put up some dud of a season, like, and especially with Jason Kidd putting him at the point guard early in the season, and we didn't know how that was going to look. Like the kid found his way, and I think, you know, he deserves his credit for that.
And I think you're right. I think that, you know, with Knipple, it's been a historic level of efficiency for him. As you mentioned, from, you know, the 3-point land, especially, no rookie ever averaged less than 18 points with, you know, that high of a true shooting percentage. Knipple is just, he's outshined most rookies in most years. The problem is that his former Duke teammate is in the same year that he is, and he's out here balling, dropping Wilt Chamberlain stats, 96 points in 2 games. Only Wilt Chamberlain has done that other than him. There's your sports professor stat for that. So when you look at that, it's like, oh man, I really want to vote for Knipple, and in most years I would, because of that efficiency and because of that maturity, and because, yeah, you're right, he came into the league, and next thing you know, he's already a star, and he hasn't even been here for, you know, a few months. But I just think that Cooper Flag, even if Hot Take Jake says he's going to be better than Magic Johnson when it's all said and done, which I completely think is blasphemous, I do think Cooper Flag will be one of the greatest players of all time when it is said and done at the end of his career, as long as he can stay healthy. Bobby G, I think we all know where you're going, because you wouldn't want to ruin your beautiful before season predictions. Who is your rookie of the year?
No, I don't have to ruin it, because the NBA is going to congratulate me and celebrate my choice. Like, it is what it is. It's Con Knipple. And see, the thing that proves it is Con Knipple is exactly what these gentlemen said. I agree with everything they said. You notice how they said Cooper got better as the year going on. He did this as the year going on. Con Knipple was that game one.
He came in.
That's why he's the rookie of the year. There was no build up. It was game 1, 25. Oh, this dude can play. We look at him. He doubles Cooper Flag in win shares, 8-4.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's big.
Doubles.
That's big.
Remember that? He's leading the Charlotte Hornets in win shares.
And the Hornets are the better team, clearly, 43-37, making the playoffs. The Dallas Mavericks are 25-55. So
yeah, but win shares, it doesn't matter how good your team is. It's what the wins you add to the team. So that's regardless of how good the team is. Con Knipple could have 8 win shares on the Mavericks, you know.
Sure,
but
sure.
no, he's just been solid all year. And the reason I thought he would be the most pro ready coming in is because he was a glue guy. Like, you looked at the Hornets last year, and you were like, man, Melo is you know, is this, and Brandon Miller and Britt. They just, like, something's got to bring them together. I thought he could be the connector to hold all the pieces together. and he's done exactly that. And I think we're at a point where they'll be rewarded. There's this. Nobody cares if the number one pick is rookie of the year, as long as they eventually live up to the hype, right? Like
I disagree completely. I want to go with your choice. I want to pick Knipple now that you've convinced me so efficiently here on this program. All of us changing my mind because I was going to go with Cooper Flag. I'm still thinking about the fact that no, that is a thing. Like they are going to want their number one pick to be and we know the NBA will cheat and conspire, as we saw Cooper Flag go to Dallas in the first place after the Doncic trade. So will they make him choose Flag?
See how Bobby back? See, Bobby, you
no,
accidentally.
But look at aside from Wemby, who was clearly going to be like the rookie of the year, it's not been a number one pick thing. Like Anthony Edwards didn't win rookie of the year.
Sure, but I think if you have these two players that are in a pretty neck and neck race, I think that they will push for that, is what I would say.
Well, the beautiful people at the sports books in Las Vegas disagree with you, sir.
And
that's why they have Concanipple as the betting favorite.
They surely do. And look, again, great season by Knipple. 18 points, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 64% true shooting for a guard is astronomically outrageous. So a really, again, historic efficiency level. Flag had 21 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, 5 assists. So counting stats are a little better there. And he didn't have that bad of a true shooting percentage either, 55%, 0.5 more steals per game, 0.7 more blocks per game, about the same amount of turnovers. Again, there on the edge. I just think the NBA will go with Flag.
I think what this is going to come down to, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier, Bobby G, with the MVP awards. It's going to come down to those primetime games. I'm a believer of the fact that when we're trying to give these awards, you do need to factor in when these guys are playing primetime games or playing against what's going to be your proposed rivals, for years to come. Right? Like if we're talking about Victor Wembanyama and we're saying that we're going to try and give him the MVP, I'm going to be looking at those games that Wembanyama performs against the Denver Nuggets and against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because if this is what the race is going to look like, and we're determining on, wins, wins within the season against those opponents, those guys, and the performances you're putting up, that's going to speak volumes. So I look at the reason why I'm saying that, and maybe Cooper Flag is going to wind up winning this is because I'm looking at some of the performances that Cooper Flag has had on prime time and has had against, guys like he has to play against the Victor Wembanyama's, the Chet Holmgrens, Isaiah Hartensteins, and he's putting up those type of numbers. That's going to say something. I'm not saying that it's to diminish what Knipple is doing. But what I'm saying is that I haven't seen enough of a resume, and maybe this is the reason why it's important that the Charlotte Hornets now be taken seriously. And this is a great, testing ground, so to speak, on how they perform in the playoffs, that going into next year, Knipple and how he performs in the bright lights in prime time and what he does with this Charlotte Hornets team, we will never have this kind of mistake, because we're now saying that Knipple against, the Boston Celtics, Knipple against, the Orlando Magic, those conversations are going to elevate him in those award conversations a lot further now. But I'm not, again, if he gets it, I'm not disappointed whatsoever one bit, because the numbers speak to it. But I think that is another thing that we should take into consideration when weighing these awards.
Well, so that's I'm sorry, that's just really funny that you said that, though, because think about their first meeting against each other. That is the epitome of what this race is. That game, Knipple was on pace. I was tweeting like, hey, he needs to go for 12 threes. I want to see it from a rookie. Like, at least give me 12. Right. I know that's not the record anymore, but at least give me the Donyell Marshall, Kobe Bryant special, And at that same time, Cooper Flag is nearly getting 50. And who won that game? The Hornets won that game, unfortunately for Cooper Flag, but he went at his boy. You know, there is the thing about sports. Nobody is going to guard you one-on-one like your homeboys. And Cooper Flag looked at Con Knipple and said, look, I know what toothpaste you use. I'm getting 50 tonight. And he went at him every night. So it's funny in that way. I think that is perfect imagery to what Cal just said. Like, it's that close, even just down to that meeting is the epitome of what this race is.
I mean, and that's what we want to see, right? Like, I understand that you know, the way that we situate and strategize, you know, when we're especially looking at the playoffs. But listen, man, there's a reason why we market and promote players individually. And I think if the expectation is that you want these guys to win these awards, they got to position themselves to go out there and win those awards. And like, look, we're going to be watching this Lakers Rockets series. I know we're going to do the playoffs real quick, but previews, predictions, excuse me, real quick. But listen, we're not talking about the Rockets and the Lakers as teams, right? We're talking about LeBron James and Kevin Durant. We're talking about whether or not this is the last time that these guys are going to actually play against each other in postseason basketball and what we want to see from them. And I think we want that across the board for any of these games and matchups. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's for us to be saying that we want to give awards to some of these dudes. A lot of it comes down to, yeah, you put up numbers, right, against, you know, a guy, a coach who's putting his smallest guard on you, is trying to be cute. But if that superstar is on there and he knows that for him to have the last say on whether or not I'm the best player in this game, in this series, in this season, in this legacy, in this career, whatever, I got to guard you up. I got to bow you up. I got to get up on you and stuff like that. And I think that's what we want to see more of. So I'm hoping that that's what we get more of because of these situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And that's a great segue to our last topic of the day. Yes, we are going to pick our NBA Finals matchups and our champions. Let me go ahead and bring up the bracket here. And let me get my face in there somehow as I'm blocking myself. There we go. All right. So looking at this playoff, the play-in has already started. Right now we have the Heat versus the Hornet. Let me give you a quick scoring update. It is tied 41-41 with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. So you got a good game there between Tyler Hero and Colin Kneppel that we just talked about. So when we look at this bracket here, starting from the left to the right, we're going to skip the play-in teams because I'm assuming that no one has any of these playoff teams going very far. But I do want to say what a disappointment both the Magic and the Clippers were. And shame on Paolo Banchero for throwing Jamal Mosley under the bus, because he's going to get him fired as the coach for blaming him for their failures, even though it's Banchero's fault when it comes down to it. So anyways, moving it into I don't like when players throw coaches under the bus, bro. They're there to help you. They ain't doing nothing to try to hurt you.
Yeah. But Jamal Mosley has not helped himself either.
He's
not.
Sure, but he doesn't deserve to be fired either, though.
He kind of does.
Well,
you think so? You think he does? Well, okay.
Let's put it like this. This game between the Heat, this game between the Sixers and because the Magic have two cracks at it. Magic go out and win this game, right? They got to deal with the likes of the Detroit Pistons or whatever, right? But if in these games they do not look like a team that can offensively get it together, they don't look like they're collectively all in and feeling whatever Mosley is trying to strategize and implement, he's not going to be the head coach come next season. You can't have this kind of talent, this young kind of talent, and this kind of disorientation taking place. And it speaks volumes. Now, and I agree with you. I don't like when a player does throw a head coach or whatever under the bus. But let's remember, Banchero is a kid still, right? Mm-hmm. And
that's true. That's true.
He came from a successful program in Duke, and he's coming to a situation where he sees that these guys can be better, play better, compete better. And the best way for me to tell whether or not this is going to work or not going to work is if whether or not the head coach recognizes the roster and is trying to bring the best out of them instead of basically looking at them with this level of disappointment, like they're still not ready to compete, like they're still not ready to play with the big boys and things of that nature. And then that tells me that that's not the team he wants to coach. So I don't want to go on this tangent. I know this is about the playoffs.
No. You're good.
The Magic
that makes sense.
The Magic don't look. If the Magic don't look good, Mosley's going to be out. I can tell. I definitely tell you that.
And you're completely right. Yeah. And you're completely right, though. The head coach does always, usually take the fall first for these sort of things. And you're right. When you have as good as a team as they have, or at least the roster that they traded for and tried to construct last offseason, then you want to be expecting your team to be a 50-win team at least, trying to make the playoffs. So, all right, cool. Well, like I said, we're going to go ahead and give our NBA Finals and champion picks. So, hey, Desmond, you are the new guy. We are going to give you the honorary duties here. So, who is your NBA Finals pick and your champion?
All right, so
and you can
my
give some
NBA
backstory
Finals,
too.
Yeah, because mine from the East has changed. I'm sure for obvious reasons. Most of the season, I was preparing for a Knicks and Pistons conference finals. And I was leaning towards the Knicks to come out of that because of the fact that the Pistons don't necessarily have that secondary shot creator that they need consistently for the playoffs. Shout out to Tobias Harris. I know he's had a really good year this year, but it's just not at that next level that a guy like Cade Cunningham needs to win a championship. So initially I was thinking Thunder and Knicks because I was rolling with the Thunder the minute the 2025 finals was over. I just gave them that respect up front. But and there's also a little PTSD. I'm big on the playoffs is different. I know the Spurs have done their thing versus OKC this year, but I just have PTSD from being a Bulls fan. I watched the Miami Heat in 2011 win 5 straight games, the Chicago Bulls in 2011 win 5 straight games versus that new look Miami Heat team, and then the minute an adjustment was made, it was over. And so I'm still giving OKC their respect. I still expect them to come out the West, and now my change of heart has ensued, and I'm leaning a little bit towards Boston. For some reason, I'm just a little nervous about the Pistons. Like I said, I'm a little nervous about the Knicks, whether or not they're, I guess, going to learn from last season, learn how to utilize the depth that they have acquired, and again, they fired Tom Thibodeau for some of his rotations and whatnot, which wasn't totally his fault. That's kind of a GM coach kind of thing there. But yeah, I kind of lean towards the Celtics, even with their flaws. And part of me is just thinking Thunder and Celtics, and I would pick Thunder in 6.
Damn, man. Hey, we have been on point together all episode long, Desmond. So we're definitely going to have to bring you back because you and I obviously picked a lot of the same things here today, because I completely agree with you. That's exactly what happened to me. Bobby G and Cal know that at the beginning of the year, I had picked the Celtics. I had picked the New York Knicks. I did. I'm so sorry, my Celtics. I'm so sorry. I did. But I promise you, we're back. We're back, baby. Jason Tatum is back, and there is no one in the Eastern Conference that can beat us. Y'all better get used to the best white boy bench in the NBA. You got Hugo Gonzalez. You got Luke Garza. You got Baylor Shireman. Who the deuce is Baylor Shireman? I don't know, but he's hitting 3-pointers from logo in half court. So screw it. I love him. Let's go Celtics. But I do agree. I think the Thunder. This is a Thunder versus all kind of vibe to me, and I do not think that the Celtics, I have to be realistic here, I do not think that our team can beat the Thunder when fully healthy. So I would take the Thunder in probably 6 as well, maybe 7, if I want to help my Celtics out. All right, there you go. I almost threw up. Cal, stop laughing at me. What you got?
Oh, man. You got to listen. You just take those last 2 minutes and just send that to our peoples up here in New Jersey that are New York Knicks fans, or send that to, I mean, seriously, just Crazy.
I hate the Knicks. Screw the Knicks.
So my preseason predictions were that the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to figure out a way to finally get this done, and then they had to go the desperate route of getting James Harden, which I kind of knew something had to happen, right? Like something just was not clicking with this Cleveland Cavaliers team.
They needed something. Yeah.
And but I've realized that even with that trade with James Harden, this isn't about, you know, him or Donovan Mitchell. It's about Evan Mobley. And until I see Evan Mobley basically turn into a Jokic, into an SGA, into a Jalen Brunson, until he turns into that killer, again, I was in over my head. I probably thought more about the Cleveland Cavaliers doing it more so than me and the way I appreciate what the Detroit Pistons have been able to do. Detroit Pistons have that dude in Cade Cunningham. With that being said, I don't know if the Detroit Pistons have enough on their roster and enough firepower to deal with either of the teams that are on the bottom part of that bracket in the playoffs, being either the New York Knicks or the Boston Celtics. Even if the Celtics didn't have Jason Tatum, the emergence and how Missoula has been able to utilize this roster, to me, speaks to that these guys, they're ready. They have not lost so much from what their finals team gave you, right? Because even with those replacement parts, right, the replacement killers, so to speak, you know, you got Vucevic, Shireman, Peyton Pritchard. Again, he's that guy. He's that guy that can end souls in quarters. You know what I'm saying? And then now you do also have Jason Tatum back in the fold. I think the Boston Celtics represent the deepest team, the best team to come out of the East. It becomes a question of, will they stop playing with their food? That's what that comes down to. They stop playing with their food. They should be better than the rest of the pack in the playoffs. But at times they play with their food and they allow teams, when they go through all the trouble of looking like they're going to beat their brains in, they allow them to hang around, and then they make games in series that shouldn't even be happening. And then they wind up not executing down the stretch or coughing up games that they shouldn't be coughing up. So with all that being said, I have the Celtics coming out in the East. In the West, I think it's a completely different situation, because you can make the argument that whoever is coming out of that lower bracket will have beaten each other up so much that it may seem like it's easy pickings for the OKC Thunder to get themselves to the conference finals, right? To get through the conference finals, to get to the Western, to represent the West. I think that if it comes down to Denver and San Antonio, that's still going to be like a 7-game bloodbath that'll wind up, pushing the limits, and the OKC is just going to be picking at parts. So with that being said, OKC, Boston in the finals. I'm gonna let you know this right now, man.
Let's go. Do it.
I like the Boston Celtics in this NBA finals, bro. I really do. I know that this is going to come down to the better team defensively, and that really is OKC. But I've seen in stretches where the Boston Celtics have exhibited the kind of defense that gives OKC problems. And if this is the same kind of roster, OKC messed around and allowed the Indiana Pacers to create havoc in the finals and push them to 7 games, I can't imagine when the Boston Celtics just start jacking up threes all over the place and start stretching that OKC Thunder defense, what's going to happen when OKC now has to run that game up to 130 points. OKC likes games in the 115s, 120s, and their defense takes over and shuts down teams. The Celtics they just don't know how to stop. And if they get things going, they get things cooking early, OKC is going to start being desperate. And I'd love to see what happens when their back is against the wall and they have to make that necessary adjustment. I think the Celtics are the best team to represent. I think the Celtics take it in 6.
Wow. Let's fucking go. I agree, though. When the Celtics, and I was telling my dad this the other day, I said, when we get hot off the 3 at the beginning of the game, we will blow you out just like we were blowing out whoever that was the other day when we hit the record or tied the record for 29 threes. We came out and had like 31 in the first 9 minutes or some shit. I was like, man, if they hit their threes, they are unbeatable. But it's when they are off on 3-pointers, which happens at least once a series, they're going to.
And I want to give a quick shout out. I know Bobby G, you're going to give your predictions in a second. I want to give a quick shout out to my man Shaw, because we had this conversation the other night when we were doing our playoff predictions and previews in regards to the first round, and he brought up an excellent point. The Boston Celtics have managed to win this many games and be able to be where people see them. And Derek White has arguably had one of his worst seasons as a Boston Celtic.
That's a good point.
Can you imagine if Derek White actually enters the conversation playing at another level and playing at that playoff, 2 years ago level that helped the Celtics win that NBA championship? If he enters into the chat, as we say, this is going to be a different conversation about how good the Boston Celtics can truly be. And it doesn't even have to be about Derek White scoring 25 points or anything like that. It could just be about how Derek White is impacting the game on all facets, like he was doing a couple of seasons ago. He has not done it consistently this year, but the Celtics have never had to worry about that because of all the contributions they've been getting from other players as well too. But I think this is the opportunity for Derek White, to come in here and turn to Mr. White. and play a little Casino Royale on the Eastern Conference playoff picture.
I like it. Mr. White and Mr. Pritchard, if you're nasty. Bobby G likes that one. Walkamar tunes in. Our boy says Celtics scare me. Walkamar, we'll see you in just a few minutes on the WrestleMania preview show. Y'all tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern here in a couple minutes on Ball and Buds. Stay tuned. Thank you, Walkamar. Yeah, Celtics are a scary team. And look, I just wanted to be realistic, and I just think that the Thunder, I think they're the better team in my eyes. But now that you're saying all this, Cal, it does give me a lot of faith and a lot of hope. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's all
Bobby G,
do, man. It's all ever I wanted to do for you, SP, is give you.
Thank you, my friend. That's why you're my friend. That's why I bring you on. All right, Bobby G, what you got? Who's yours, brother?
I do my best essay impersonation. I appreciate the comments you guys have made, but you're all wrong. Here's why. No, I'm still of the mindset. But yeah. It was, but I'm still of the mindset that you have to take your loss before you win. With that being said, San Antonio Spurs are disqualified. Not that they haven't had a great season, and not that they don't have a bright future, but you got to take those lumps in the playoffs. You got to earn it. I think the last team who really didn't go through anything and just won a championship was the Warriors for 15. Every other champion has kind of, had their share of disappointments in the playoffs. I got the Nuggets coming out of the West, and I'm changing. I made a prediction yesterday. I had OKC. Since then,
I'm not mad at you for thinking that, bro. I'm not mad at you for thinking that.
Same. I can see it.
I don't like the fact that, again, the big three from OKC kind of haven't played together. How many games have they played together? Like less than 10 all season. And for a team that's really built around that chemistry, and I can't confidently stand behind them. I like the way the Nuggets closed out the season. I like the way Jamal Murray has attacked this season. And yeah, I think I'm going with the Nuggets to get the job done, come out of the West. In the East, and sorry to disappoint you, Omar.
Don't you dare.
First, I agree with everything Cal said about Evan Mobley. And earlier in the season, I said the winner of the East would be whoever won between the Cavs and the Pistons whenever they played. I don't still not feel that way, but I need to see which Evan Mobley I'm going to get in the playoffs. The last month and a half of this season, Evan Mobley has been amazing. And if I get that Evan Mobley in the playoffs, the Cavs are going to be a problem. But as it stands with the unknown, I'm going with the Knicks.
You're not even picking your Cavs. Oh, no.
I'm going with the Knicks. I think we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm going with the Knicks. I think the Knicks take you guys out. This is not the experienced bench that won the championship for the Celtics. I'm sorry. Sharman, they've done great things. They look good. They can surprise us in the regular season. But you guys, this is the playoffs.
That's
And
a whole different animal.
Yeah, that ain't Al Horford going out there. That ain't,
Right.
Chris Stapps. That ain't
Bobby.
Holiday.
Bobby, I'm gonna tell you this though, man. Knicks are probably gonna wish that the Celtics have to get taken out by whoever.
They don't want to play. Yeah, they don't want to play.
Here's why. I don't
I'm
believe
telling
that.
you,
y'all were on the way out last season. They had
I don't agree with that.
They had y'all 3-1 before Tatum got hurt.
I think we could have came back and won that series.
The Knicks had us 3-1 because we coughed.
We had a bad start.
Games in which we had 20-point lead.
We should have won both of those games.
Quarter.
Thank you.
Whose fault is that? You need a little bit of luck to win the championship, right?
No, Bobby, I completely agree with you. But this is exactly the reason why I think the Boston Celtics want the New York Knicks. They are elated that the Knicks are in
we want
bracket.
Our revenge.
They are elated that the Knicks are in their bracket. I'm telling you right now. I just don't know if my question is do you have that much confidence in Mike Brown coaching up this Knicks team and making sure that they understand the assignment here? Because let's keep it a buck. I have more confidence in Joe Mazzulla coaching that team the Celtics have than Mike Brown coaching that Knicks team. You know what I'm saying? Like if the Celtics were in the bracket of the Pistons or anything else, I would feel more confident about the Knicks getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. But my question is do you have that kind of confidence on the roster, or do you have that confidence collectively with Mike Brown coaching that they're going to be able to get the job done to get to that part? And I just don't.
None of the above. I don't have the confidence in Jason Tatum.
That's wild.
Jason
That
Tatum.
is wild. He has showed it. He didn't. Jason Tatum made a point. They were going to rest him against the Knicks. He made a point, said, I need to go into the Garden. And he played like shit. That's okay. He had to get over the fact that he tore his Achilles there.
Exactly, which means mentally, his playoffs don't start in the first round. His playoffs don't start.
It don't matter if the Celtics have home court. So.
It does matter because the Celtics also lost that game. And he played bad. His playoffs don't start in round one. His playoffs here start against the Knicks, and that could be a problem.
See, that to me is where I think you and I differ, Bobby. I don't disagree in that aspect of it, but I don't think that this is about Jason Tatum. And if that is, what you're riding it on, is whether or not Jason Tatum is like he's the X factor when you look at the rosters and how the Knicks are set up. Again, my X factor is not Jason Tatum as much as it is Derek White. I think Derek White, if he is locked in and playing in playoff Derek White form, the Knicks are not going to have an answer for him. They are not going to have an answer for him. They don't have an answer for him. And the Celtics can put as many bodies as they would like, as they want to. They could put Baylor Shireman on Jalen Brunson if they want to. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that it's Jalen Brunson that they don't want beating them, right, in the fourth quarter. So they will do everything in their power to force everyone else on that roster to beat the Boston Celtics. And that's the reason why this is more about why I don't have that kind of confidence in the New York Knicks getting the job done in that regard, because there's the lack of consistency in their ability to get shots the way that they're supposed to, unless Jalen Brunson is the person taking those shots. And that's Mike Brown's responsibility. And they still haven't figured it out, So but again, I agree. I get where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not putting it on Jason Tatum is why that's the reason why I feel the way that I feel in that regard.
And shout out to your brother, your partner in crime, Warren, coming through with a Peyton Pritchard-like clutch basket at the end of the quarter. No Jaylen Brown that game. I completely forgot. We didn't have Jaylen Brown. So if Jaylen Brown would have played, we would have easily won that game. Get out of here. I don't want to hear that. Anyways, so do you have the Nuggets over? Do you have the Nuggets over the Knicks? Is that who we have?
Yeah, I got the Nuggets beating the Knicks.
Well, thank God. I was like, oh, okay. You did all of that.
I couldn't handle it if he said something else.
Like, oh my God, what are we doing here?
No.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I was like, do we really want Mike? I was like, we really want Mike Brown to win this chip.
And so, as an update here, I will show you who we got. NBA champions. Cal Lee has our Celtics beating the Thunder. Desmond and myself have the Thunder over the Celtics, although I reserve my right to change that since I am a Celtics fan, and Cal kind of changed my mind there. And Bobby G, way off the board, Nuggets over the Knicks. But it could, if that comes true, though, wow. You will get all the props in the world, Bobby G. That being said, Bobby G, you don't need to give your channels because you're going to be on my next show, and you can give them their. No, I'm just joking. There's a different crowd. Go ahead, Bobby G. Let them know where they can find you.
I already know what it is, man. Mondays and Wednesdays, you catch me Game Time 216 with the homie Big Mike talking all things Cleveland. And on Thursdays and Fridays, you can catch me with Wildcard Mar and April DJs Girls on Audible Sports Podcast. Thursdays all football, and Fridays a little bit, it gets crazy. So, be careful what you tune in for. Then, of course, on Thursdays from 4 to 6 Eastern, you catch me with my guys over from Rec Room Sports Hub on ESPN Radio, 690 Jacksonville AM. So
big time.
There's that.
Big time. I will continue to say congratulations to you and the crew for getting the ESPN. That's big time, homie. That's huge. So congrats.
Appreciate it.
Another huge get for us on this podcast. Shout out to Cal and Warren for helping out. Desmond, man, you brought the heat today. You brought the energy, my brother. You brought that knowledge, that expertise, and it was an amazing show to have you on. Can't wait to have you on in the future. Go ahead and let them people know where they can find you.
Yeah, likewise, man. I mean, it was a pleasure to talk to you, Bobby G, Cal, as always. I caught the Baseline episode this morning. Y'all already had me hyped. So when I knew I was doing this, I knew I had to come correct and match the energy like we do on 19. Of course, you guys can catch the Mid Post every Tuesday, weekly show, weekly podcast. Again, the socials at Mid Post Pod on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, at Desmond Powell _ same platforms, as well as TikTok, to catch more announcements and clips from the show.
Bird, appreciate that. Cal, my brother, let him know.
Hey, Baseline NBA podcast. Be sure to check us out. 19 Media Group. Go on the YouTube channel. You'll catch us. You'll also be able to catch Mid-Post. You catch all of the great content from, the 19 Media Group family, sports, culture, entertainment, music. You got it. 19 Media Group has it. And again, at The Warren Shaw, at GameFace Lee. Yep, man, we got a lot going in the hopper, man. Autopsy Reports is already underway. And obviously, we're going to give our predictions throughout the NBA playoffs. Second round, going all the way up into the finals and stuff. So a lot happening, man. And again, man, just always grateful to be on and, continuing to chop it up with you fellas.
Yes, sir. And I was supposed to be going out of town for the month of May, but I'm going to be here. So we're going to probably do this here again in a couple weeks. Get an update on the playoffs, maybe right before the finals, maybe before the Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals. We'll get back together here in a couple weeks.
For sure.
Sound good, gentlemen? Well, hey,
Absolutely.
I really appreciate y'all as always. Thank you for blessing my stream. Thank you for blessing the Ball and Buds family. Y'all can find Ball and Buds at BALLANDBUDS on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Also follow on Instagram. Handy QR code up there at the top. We'll take you to our link tree. You can find all of our social medias there. Please make sure you tap in with everybody here. 19 Media Group, Audible Sports, Audible Podcast, NBA Baseline, and the Mid Post Pod. We are all on IG. And until 2 minutes from now, when we come back on for WrestleMania, probably 5 minutes, give me time to go use the bathroom. We'll be right back on with WrestleMania. Wildcard Mar, Shane Peach, Hot Take Jake, and AP will be joining us. So tune in just a couple minutes for WrestleMania. That being said, for all of my fantastic special guests here, I am your host, Omar, the Sports Professor Fonseca, and we will see you next time. Holla. Bye.
That world heavyweight flow, championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure foe. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow, like Jordan after the second time he three-peated folk. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.